present disadvantage in public schools is of great concern to me, and I think it should be of concern to everyone. Dr Bob Birrell of Monash University, in a report he co-authored titled Unequal Access to University Places, indicated that in 2003 the proportion of Victorian tertiary admissions centre applicants from independent schools who received an offer for a university place in 2004 was 77%, compared with 55% for Catholic school students and 46% for government school students. So 77% receiving an offer for a university place from independent schools, 46% from government schools. The report continued, the government school sector is no longer serving as a ladder of educational opportunity for aspiring students from low socio-economic areas. This includes schools that once provided opportunity for young people from Southeast Asian and other non-English speaking backgrounds. Within the metropolitan government school sector for Victoria, there is a growing divergence in outcomes between the schools located in inner, eastern and southern locations, where academic performance is relatively good, and other metropolitan high schools, where academic performance by comparison is relatively poor. Now, I think that is a real problem, and even worse, the academic performance of the lower performing government schools deteriorated by comparison with the high academically performing government schools and private sector schools over the decade from 1993 to 2003. In terms of access to university, the government school sector is slipping behind its vigorous independent school competitors. At the same time, the advantages held by the independent sector in terms of government funding, resources and academic reputation are growing. The increased popularity of the independent school sector has coincided with a rise in government funding at the federal level. It also comes at a time when competition for university entrance has intensified. Parents wanting to ensure their children gain entry to university have been withdrawing from the government sector in favour of the private sector. The report goes on to say, government schools are the key to providing universal educational opportunity in Australia. Many families cannot afford a private sector education. If these people do not have the opportunity to access academically high-performing government schools, the career options of their children are likely to be severely constrained, and that is absolutely correct. I mentioned earlier the COAG agreement obliged the Commonwealth and the states to implement integrated strategies for low socio-economic status school communities. This is of particular importance to my electorate. Over the last 20 years, a real problem has developed in my electorate concerning secondary education opportunities. Last year, the Christian Brothers announced that it would close the St Joseph's Secondary School campus in Pascoe Vale and in North Melbourne by 2010. This was a bitter blow to parents of Catholic boys, and it underscored a growing problem for Coburg and Pascoe Vale parents. They have a government school for girls, Pascoe Vale Girls, and a Catholic school for girls, Mercy College, which are both well regarded by parents. But there is no Year 7 to Year 12 government school for boys in Coburg or Pascoe Vale, and there's no Catholic school for boys either. An education black hole has opened up, and this is against a background of increasing numbers of children in Wills. The latest Parliamentary Library population change in Commonwealth Electoral Division's report data indicates Wills is experiencing a growth in the 0 to 4 years of age group, jumped by 337 in 1 year, and in the 5 to 14 years age group, which increased by 113. A representative of the High School for Coburg group, Dennis Matson, informs me that between 2001 and 2006 there was a 40% increase in preschool enrolments in Coburg. Moreland had an increase of 232 babies in 1 year alone and has maintained birth figures around 2,140 children since. There were 98 new prep students in 2009 compared with 2008, an increase of 4% in just over 1 year. Against this background, and the background of the impending closure of St Joseph's, I was contacted by many residents expressing concern over secondary school options in Moreland. I therefore arranged a public forum to give local residents an opportunity to raise their concerns and to discuss options with local residents on how secondary education resources and infrastructure in my electorate can be improved. That forum was held last month in February, on the 18th of February. It was extremely well attended, nearly 200 local residents, the member for Pascoe Vale, Christine Campbell, the Mayor of Moreland, Councillor Lambros Tapinos, other councillors, local school principals, Justin Mullally, who's an Australian Education Union representative, representatives from the High School for Coburg Group. Residents at the forum expressed a great deal of concern over secondary education options currently afforded to the local community. The forum produced a number of proposals which need to be the subject of further research and further consideration. Some of those recommendations included establishing a new secondary school to be provided for years 7 to 12 within the electorate, expanding the Moreland Senior College on Bell Street to cater for year 7 to year 12 students, for the Victorian Government to acquire the St Joseph's College site in Pascoe Vale and establish a local secondary school on that site, investing significantly in existing local secondary schools including Box Forest Secondary College, Fawkner Secondary College and Brunswick Secondary College to cater for increasing population demand and to lift standards and opportunity locally. And finally, reviewing of boundaries of local secondary schools based on school closures which have occurred since the last revision. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, I am establishing a working group to pursue these issues further. I also invite parents who share my concern about the need to improve secondary education in Wills to contribute any ideas or thoughts they have for lifting secondary education to me. My electorate officer, Anthony Cianfloni, is the appropriate contact in this regard. I don't think there is anything more important for our nation's future than giving our young people a proper education. I would like to be able to say that everything that can be done is being done to provide quality secondary education in Wills. I cannot. More effort is needed, and I've undertaken to do everything that I can to see that this changes. Children in Wills deserve nothing less. Furthermore, Madam Deputy Speaker, there is abundant evidence that more educated economies are wealthier economies. A nation that invests in education has a better economic growth rate. OECD research shows that if the average level of education of the working age population was increased by 1 year, the economy would be 3 to 6% larger and the growth rate of the economy would be up to 1% higher. Access Economics has calculated that if the Australian workforce had just 0.15 years of extra education and training, we could increase productivity in the Australian economy by over 0.6%. A person with better education and training has longer workforce participation and greater adaptability within the workplace. An investment in education is not just about achieving economic goals. It's also about achieving better social inclusion outcomes and enhancing social capital. A strong commitment to education can contribute to higher levels of civic participation. It can contribute to improved social cohesion. It contributes to improved integration. It contributes to a more equitable, a more just society. It assists with the development of important life skills. And I'm delighted that the Labor government here is delivering on a strong commitment to invest in education. This government is providing national leadership. It's working cooperatively with the states and territories in developing school funding policies that address need and will deliver a better education system. And I commend this bill to the House.